All right, hey everyone, it's Clint. Welcome to Sweetcast. And the topic of this video is if you're reading a comic book, how many issues do you give it before you decide to call it quits? And this can vary from person to person, but I'll remember when I started reading comics, I had this massively overwhelming feeling, and that's because it's just endless. Like how can you possibly keep up with it? Especially if you're new and you don't really want to be spending lots and lots of money on comic books. It only makes sense that you've got some kind of criteria that you stop buying books, or if you buy that first issue, are you locked in and committed to buying every single issue after that? And so I wanted to sort of explore that a bit. Before we get into it, though, Downcast issue number 2 through Alterna Comics is coming. I think he said on the 8th they started shipping. What day is it? I don't know what date it is. Anyway, you should be able to look at alternaaccess.com, pick up issue number 2. I know they're printed because I have seen them. I think he's probably shipping those out first to the people that backed the collected editions last year. I can't remember what they're called, the subscription packages, but those should be coming out really soon. You should be able to order those. If you don't have issue 1, pick it up on Alterna or sweetcomicshop.com. Also, Fatal's live on Indiegogo still. We're still working on this. Charlie's been working on some really cool scene. I love the pages he's turning in. So know that we're working on this, and I appreciate everyone's patience. All right, so getting into the story, I've got Mighty Mascots here and have Punchline. The reason being is that I'm currently reading Punchline. I decided to really focus on that big stack of comic books that I have to read and read a bunch of the more manageable, smaller books. Having said that, this is not a small book. This is an entire trade paperback. I saw this on Kickstarter first, did not know it was coming to Indiegogo, but I didn't want to miss it, so I went ahead and backed it on Kickstarter and began reading it. I also have the second volume here, but when I'm in this trade paperback format, I think I've got a few criteria here that tells me if it's a series I want to keep reading. And one of those really happens in the first chapter of the book, your first issue, and it has to be interesting enough to grab you. You know, the whole concept has to be interesting enough that you want to keep reading. Now, as I was reading this book, I kept thinking, is this interesting enough for me to continue reading? And I found myself continuing to read. So I think that answers the question. I still have quite a bit of the series to go, but the premise of a superhero passing on her powers to another superhero, and as she's passing those powers on, she's losing the powers while her trainee is gaining those powers at the same time. I thought that was a pretty interesting concept. I don't know that I've really seen that in comic books, at least not like this. And so it was pretty cool to see. And I'm also learning that Matt Weldon, who's the artist on this, he also has done a few covers for me. He's done 3 different covers for me. He has a knack for creature design. Look at this goat man. I've not seen him do anything like this, but this is like actually creepy to me. I started looking at this goat man and thinking of jumping on his hairy back and those goat teeth. My only complaint is if you made his eyes look rectangular. You know how goats have like rectangular pupils that make them just creepy? These are pretty rounded pupils, but if they were rectangular, that would be another level of freaky. Anyway, that's not even a nitpick. Really actually cool character design, and it really did it for me. So starting to see some of the battles and stuff was pretty cool. So would Punchline be a series that I continue to read? Well, I'm going to keep going because it seems just like a lot of stories that I'll follow as I'm moving on from trade paperback to trade paperback, you come to moments and you think, for example, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I've been reading that with the trades, the current run of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And one thing that sticks out to me is that they'll go through, it seems like just issues and issues of talking. No action, or very little action. And it's really upsetting because it's the Ninja Turtles, for crying out loud. So I have to go through points where I just stop reading it and then I'll get that feeling that I just want to live in that world again. And so I'll pull it up again and I'll run into the same problems, and I should probably just stop reading it. But I don't know. I guess that's what nostalgia does to you, perhaps, or it's all the good stuff that has happened in the comic books that keep you coming back. So that's in no way an indictment on Punchline at all, but it does make me think, like, over the course of these books, what are they going to do to continue to hook me in that makes me want to continue and read the trades going forward and after that. So just some food for thought as far as trade paperbacks go. So yeah, the best advice I got when I was a new reader was, if you aren't enjoying a run, stop buying it. Like, don't continue to collect comic books that you don't enjoy. All right, so I got Mighty Mascots here. This is issue 6. Move Punchline out of the way. This is issue 6 because it's here because my son was reading it. He started off with the volume 1 Giant from Alterna, and then he read issues, so that's issues 1, 2, and 3. Then he read issues 4, 5, and 6, and he has been enthralled with it the whole time. So much so that we had to get after him for reading comics when he was supposed to be doing chores. I'm not gonna lie, that made me really happy. You can see like how well loved these are already. And so this makes me feel really good, makes me really happy. I reached out to Keith and told him that my son just loved it, devoured it. And it kind of gets me thinking again about single issues, especially if you don't have that IP. It's not Ninja Turtles. It's not something he grew up with. It's not something he saw on TV anywhere. This is just a brand new series that he started reading. And I buy my kids comics all the time, and most of the time they'll kind of read the first issue or flip through it, and they're uninterested very quickly. In the case of Mighty Mascots, he was glued to the book. He finished the whole series so far, and he said, is there going to be more? Because I really want more. Really good stuff. This makes me so happy as a father to see my son interested in comic books that much. And I said, look, there's a the end with a question mark. So hopefully Keith's going to do some more books. Anyway, really, really cool to see that reaction. So in this case, in a case like this, when you really like a series, clearly you're going to keep reading. But when I find myself buying books and they sit in a stack, and this is a series I've been reading, like if I read the first one, second one, third one, and as I'm continuing to buy issues, they continue to stack up, not because I don't have time to read them, but because I'm making time to read other things. I'm doing anything else. I'm cleaning my office, anything but read these books. Then there begins to me to be a problem, and it's maybe not a series you ought to be continuing to spend your money on, and that'll send a signal to the creative team or the publisher to quit doing it. Anyway, so I'd love to know your thoughts on, when do you stop reading a series, when is enough and you have to move on. And then clearly I think the correct answer is, if you love a series and you want to keep reading it, then I guess keep reading it. So anyway, thanks for watching the video. Really appreciate you all for watching, and want to come out with more content, more from like the consuming comic book angle as opposed to creation of comic books. They'll still do a little bit of that as well. Anyway, thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.